Alright, so I want to make something clear to you guys. I am a casual fan of Star Wars. I'm not a type of person where I'm like, oh my goodness! Star Wars, it's coming out! Oh my goodness! The original trilogy was so great! The prequels were okay at best, but the original trilogy was great, and the new ones are being great as well. Ah! I'm not that type of person. If you are that type of person, I don't blame you one bit. I can completely understand where you're coming from. I'm a person that looks forward to the Star Wars films, and I think they're good films, but I don't love them. So, yeah, that's basically where I'm coming from on that end. Also, I'm going to be as vague as I possibly can on this review because I know a lot of people want to know very little walking into this movie, and plus, you probably pretty much already know whether or not you're going to see Star Wars The Last Jedi or not. So there's not a whole lot of point on spending a ton of time on the plot. So there's that. And also, I wanted to make sure you guys knew that do not stick through the credits because there's no after credit scene. I mean, I guess if you want to, because, I mean, you get the chance to see Lucasfilm logo one more time. So if you want to, go ahead, knock yourself out. But anyway, let's jump into this review. Alright, so Star Wars The Last Jedi. Let's just take a second here. The Last Jedi. That is just an amazing title. I mean, seriously, that just fuels me with intrigue before I even walk into the theater. Great title. Anyway, Star Wars The Last Jedi basically starts off where The Force Awakens leaves off, where Rey meets Luke for the first time, and she wants Luke to teach her the ways of the Force while also joining the Rebellion, while the rest of the Rebellion, which includes Leia, Finn, Poe, and the newcomer Rose, are trying to escape from the First Order that are trying to attack them and whatnot. Basically as basic as I can get to it, because that's basically where we left off in The Force Awakens. So, with that being said, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm just coming from a casual fan. I really did. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's better than The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens was just a little bit too much like A New Hope. It felt like a movie I've already seen. And I thought it was good. No, don't get me wrong. I just thought it was good. It just wasn't great. And so, The Last Jedi does not feel like episode 5 or anything like that. It feels like it's an own movie, and I really appreciated that. And it does not disappoint. Now, let me say, the first half of the movie, it does have some slow moments, but it definitely has its great moments in that first half as well. The second half is definitely where this movie shines. I mean, seriously, I love the second half of this movie. It's both halves have some memorable moments in it, especially the second half. That one just comes straight to mind right away. Definitely a memorable moment in that one. Now, the first half, I did say it's a little slow in some parts, so I do wish it was like maybe cleaned up but just a little bit more to where like maybe like 15 minutes were taken out or shortened or something like that, just to make it flow a little bit better. I mean, this movie is 2.5 hours long, so it is a little bit of a long movie, but I don't mind being it over 2 hours anyway, so maybe just a little bit shorter, though. And, I mean, again, I do enjoy the first half, just not as much as the second half. The first half does have more humor in it than the second half, which, I mean, is a little jarring at first, because it just feels out of place, especially at first, because the first joke, I think it was the first one at least, it feels a little forced, where the other ones do not, but it does kind of feel weird just having as many jokes as they did in the Star Wars universe, where it just feels a little out of place. But I do think it was a nice addition, so don't get me wrong on that end. Also, sprinkled throughout this movie, especially more towards the second half of the movie, I believe, there is tension. There's just tension moments in the movie, and I really enjoy that because I love me some tension in my movies. Seriously. So, I mean, as far as performances go, I think Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill are the two standouts in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong. The performances in this movie, there was not a bad one. There was not a bad one. I was satisfied with everyone's performance. However, Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill are the two standouts, at least in my mind. And so I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed everyone, but them two specifically. And then the special effects, I thought everything looked great. Just about everything, I should say. Because there was like a handful of scenes, really, where you could tell they were standing in front of a green screen. However, everything else, I really enjoyed looking at. It was just like all the new creatures and stuff like that. I'm like, that looks really nice. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it. So, now, coming from a casual perspective, I will admit, when in an opening night filled with Star Wars fans, when that Star Wars logo came up, I got chills. I will admit, with the music and everything like that, and people clapping, I was just like, all right. And I will admit, again, that about first 10 minutes, I had chills throughout the entire movie. I was just like, yeah! I mean, I was really looking forward to this one more than the other ones, just because The Last Jedi, that's just an awesome title. I know I've already mentioned that, but seriously, that's an awesome title. Anyway, so I did have chills, even from me. I'm not a ginormous fan of Star Wars, like I've already said, but it was good. It was definitely does not disappoint, and there was something else I was supposed to say, but I forgot. Oh, I remembered it. Haha, brain, it worked. All right, so the action scenes, they do not disappoint. I mean, seriously, each one, I can't think of a bad one. Like, let me put it that way. Each one is great. It's great in its own way. They bring something new to the table in some of them, and it's just awesome to see. Really enjoyed them. And so, I mean, the cast is great. The visual effects are great for the most part. There's just like a handful of scenes, like I said. Then, like, I mean, the story's really interesting. Story is really interesting. Parts of it, again, are a little slow towards the beginning, but the end outcome of everything is just like, oh shoot. And it's just like, it's really good. It's really good. It's really interesting. And overall, I was really satisfied with this movie. And I'm going to compare this movie to Rogue One and Episode 7. So, Rogue One, the first half of Rogue One, I was not a big fan of. It was really slow and boring, kind of. And it wasn't great. I mean, in my personal opinion, you may think differently. But the second half of Rogue One, that's where the big payoff is. That's when it's got a lot of action, a lot of fun, stuff like that. Now, when I say that, The Force Awakens does not have that bad of a first half. Like, The Force Awakens... have I been saying The Force Awakens? The Last Jedi has a better first half than Rogue One. So, both great second halves, though. The Force Awakens. Do I think The Last Jedi is better than The Force Awakens? Because a lot of people really like The Force Awakens. I definitely think so. I definitely think it is a step up. The Force Awakens felt too much of like A New Hope to me. It just basically felt like a movie I've already seen before. I thought it was good, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's Star Wars, come on. But it's not as good. It's just not as good. And the new movie with The Last Jedi, it just feels like its own movie. It does not feel like, well, I shouldn't say its own movie. It doesn't feel like it's a copycat, or it's just something new. It brings stuff new to the table. It feels new as a movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you will too. And especially, if you're a big fan of Star Wars, you'll definitely enjoy this movie. And yeah, I mean, so I really enjoyed it. It's not like groundbreaking or anything like that for me, but it could be to a big fan. So I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 9, and will be worth seeing at full ticket price because it's Star Wars, so that's not the only reason. But it's definitely worth seeing at full ticket price, and I think you all will enjoy it. I mean, coming from a casual fan, yeah, it's definitely better than Force Awakens. If you were disappointed in the first Force Awakens, you'll be satisfied with The Last Jedi. So thank you all very much for watching this, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. And remember, no movie is a perfect 10 out of 10. God bless you all, and may the Force be with you.